So weird seeing all the streets so empty. I mean, there's some people walking to and from the store, but normally all along over here, there's a bunch of tables and people out there having a good time, eating lunch. Yes, it is. It's really almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. People eating lunch and enjoying spending time with each other. My school's over there, so I'm having to weave through people on the end of that block, and then there's just so many people, and now it's not. Yeah, those umbrellas are normally out, and then you've got a couple of tables, and you've got people sitting on the ledge there, talking with their friends, standing around the table, some people sitting at them. It's just so strange. Hey everyone, my name's Victoria and I'm so glad you could join me. I am an American who is currently living in Bilbao, Spain. I am a master's student at both the University of Deusto and the University of Malta, working on my master's in the NO-HOP program in International Humanitarian Action. So, I'm not going to try and sugarcoat this or anything. This is a place where I'm going to be about as blunt as I can be. Like, last night after I posted my video and I did all the filming, the stress of everything hit me really hard. Because originally it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's going to be this quarantine's not going to be no big deal. I'm going to just basically, just stay inside. I like being inside to some degree. But then everything else just started changing. I looked further into some of the data I posted in my video yesterday. And when I was reading it, it was, instead of looking at the open cases, I was looking at the closed cases in Italy. And I almost started crying. One of my roommates, she's Italian, and I was showing it to her, and she just looked like she was in complete and utter shock. I'm going to look at it right now. But this is a really interesting and hard time. And I feel like I've been trying to be happy and positive and upbeat about it so much that I kind of just forced myself into a little bit of denial in some instance. I mean, it's just complicated. And if you refuse to understand how complicated it is, then you're missing out on a lot. So I'm looking at World Ometers website at their country-specific statistics on Italy. And there's currently on this website 35,713 cases. Today is day 4 of quarantine here in Bilbao, and it is March 18th, 2020. Forgot to mention that earlier, of course. So instead of looking at the active cases, because there's 28,710 active cases, but the closed cases, which are the cases which had an outcome, there's 7,003. And 57%, which is 4,025, recovered or have been discharged. And there have been 2,978 deaths, which is the percentage of 43% of the closed cases. And when you first originally look at the news, it's kind of like, oh man, this is all so crazy. Can't believe this is happening. Oh, it's just the flu. I think it's just heartbreaking. And when you just look at data, there's emotional responses in seeing things. But when you look at the data behind it and you see it's not just somebody's imagination, or not that that's minimizing anything. But when you look at the data and it shows that basically half of the people, a little under half of the people in Italy who have been diagnosed with COVID-19 are dying. That hits hard. It hits so hard. I'm not a person who's prone to being anxious or really worried about things. I normally just take them as they come, which sometimes is a good thing and sometimes is not a good thing. But last night it all hit me about 3 o'clock in the morning. I got so upset and so anxious, and everything just kind of hit me like a truck. And I was just laying awake and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what the response is. the EU just closed their borders. So I can't leave. I basically can't leave. I can't come back to the EU for 30 days if I do leave. So I have to stay put. It's the smartest decision. And then I'm in a group chat with some of my friends from when I was in Malta, and like people were talking about deciding if they were leaving to go back to where they're from originally. And it broke my heart because I was like, more people are leaving. And am I making the right decision? Am I making the wrong decision? And it's just like that panic and overriding sense of stress just is like hitting hard. So because of that, I didn't do much today. I slept in because I was up until like 6 o'clock in the morning because I was so stressed and worried and panicked. And then I slept in. I woke up at 10 because my roommates, we try and wake up at 10 every day. But I woke up and I was like, hey, I couldn't fall asleep until after 6. And they were like, yeah, I'm going to go back to sleep. And they're like, yeah, slept in until 2. I'm a total night owl, so it's not abnormal for me to stay up really late. But I think the emotional stress of everything got to me, and I just needed to process it and grieve in some way that I can't have the master's program I signed up for. I can't be doing all the things I thought I would be able to be doing. I'm not the only one who's grieving in this time because everyone's losing things right now. If you're losing things in your personal life. You might be losing a job. You're losing out on your schooling. You might be losing physical people in your life, and you may, I don't know, hopefully you won't die, but you know, this is extremely intense, and I've read somewhere that this is the World War II of my generation, where people are fighting, and it's hard and it's heavy. We had a Skype call with my program director, and it was heavy. It was really heavy. I can deal with heavy things. I can deal with a lot of things. If I have to deal with them, I'll deal with them. But to process them is a different story. And so we were dealing with them. She was telling us how, oh, our program is doing this, our program's doing this. We don't know what's going to happen. We are supposed to be doing a field trip to Melilla, but we can't do the field trip to Melilla in the original date because that's in 2 weeks and we can't go. We're stuck here. It's not safe. It's not smart. But instead, are we going to be postponing the trip, or are we going to have to do a research thing otherwise? Everything's just up in the air, and it's so scary. And I mean, I'm good. I'm flexible. I can deal with stuff, but it's just everything I imagined would be in my life right now is different. And I think it's that way for everyone. And if it's not different, then I'm really thankful that you are able to have a normal life right now. But today it all hit me. And because of that, I'm not gonna try and do anything fancy. I'm wanting this to be real. I'm not wanting to just be like, oh, today we're gonna talk about this. Maybe today we're talking about grieving the loss of what could have been, grieving the problems that are coming. What in the world is happening in the world today? This is the time where we all need to come together. We need to recognize where everyone else is and dwell with people in our separate dwellings and far away from them. So video calling, doing other ways to be in connection with other people. One of the things I'm loving being here is at 8 o'clock every single night. We just did it on our balcony. Everyone goes in Spain out to their balconies and their outside windows on the streets, and everybody just starts applauding. And that is something that it was like, oh yeah, we're doing something really nice. But now it's giving me a sense of I'm not alone in this. I'm not alone with my roommates, and they're fantastic. I'm not alone with my family who is on the other side of the Atlantic, far, far away. I'm not alone when I can't even go to my church or do anything like that. It's everything that normally brings comfort isn't there. Because at this point, physical things bring comfort to some extent, but I've lived in transnational life long enough to know that if you're wanting to really be in a comfortable spot. You need to worry about the people. Knowing that my program, the dates might get extended, and my friend's wedding, I may not be able to make it. They might postpone their wedding, but I might be still stuck in Spain. It's just hard. It's just really hard. And I'm not the only one going through hard things, and I don't want to minimize anybody else's struggle. But today, I didn't do anything I wanted to do. My goal last night when I was going to bed, I was like, I'm going to be on top of it. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to read and get stuff done for my project, for my policy brief for class. No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen today, and that's okay. That shouldn't be something that happens every day, that I just sleep the day away. But I think I just needed a day to process all of these heavy, heavy things. And if I'm not processing them, if I'm not taking that time to reflect and recognize how the world is changing, recognize if someone in my family were to get sick with this coronavirus and very seriously ill and die, I wouldn't be able to make it to the funeral. I've already had to deal with that in the past. When my grandma died, when I was living in China, I couldn't be at the funeral. And that was one of the hardest days living overseas. It was like the week before Thanksgiving. And I cried that day, and it was hard. I FaceTimed in, and it was so hard, because that's a moment where you just want to be with your family, and you just want to hug, and you want to be with somebody who understands and knows the person. And then the next week was Thanksgiving, and my birthday was on Thanksgiving, and I'm a huge fan of Thanksgiving, and I love celebrating my birthday, and I was in China, and I love a good traditional American Thanksgiving. I love having multicultural elements, but it was so overwhelming going to Thanksgiving, and there was a Thanksgiving celebration at my school in China, and going to a Thanksgiving celebration where there's like 7 different dishes with chicken feet in them, like, I couldn't handle it. And everything with my grandma's death and not being with my family on one of my favorite holidays, my first holiday away, it all hit me. And I had to leave where all the students were at and go up to the other teacher's room, and I sobbed. I don't think I've cried that as hard as I did then as until now. I bawled my eyes out for at least 30 minutes, and I was just, it's just hard. Sometimes you need to have a good cry. Sometimes you just need to let all those emotions out. But this is not a simple time. This is not a... Yeah, that's my... Oh, I thought that was this camera. It's my GoPro. I was using this to film the clapping tonight. Okay. That emotions. But this is a hard time. And I think the biggest thing when we're first going into this quarantine and everything else, we need to give ourselves some space to breathe. We need to have structure and everything else. And that's important. If you don't have a schedule, if you don't have structure, you're going to feel like you're wasting your life away. But also, you need a bit of air. You need a bit of air, even if you can't leave your apartment. Like, I can't really leave my apartment. You needed a little bit of time to process. It's hard. It's really hard. And this may be one of the hardest things that many people go through. And sometimes living overseas can be a magical adventure. And it's amazing. And I'm so thankful and blessed for the opportunity. And all of the privilege I've been granted, that I am capable and able to do this, that I'm able to get a master's degree, that I have education, that I'm able to get a master's degree in another continent. I'm so thankful for all of that. But sometimes you kind of just wish you were in your cocoon of being at home with your family, in your safe little bubble, in a place where you know exactly who is the people around you. You know all about them, because I'm from a really small town. Not that I don't know I'm in the right place for right now. Being in the right place for right now isn't the issue. The issue is sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you question every decision you make because you don't know what the right decision is. I trust that this is the right decision for me to stay here. But it doesn't mean that I don't have to deal with the emotional consequences when everything hits you at 3 o'clock in the morning. Because that's about the time of the day when you're trying to relax and go to sleep, and all of the emotions of the day just smack you across the face. So, yeah, that was a lot more emotional than I was originally expecting when I was kind of scoping things out. Maybe I'll talk about this tomorrow. Maybe I'll talk about that. So, yeah. Anyway, the parody for today is one of my favorite songs. So, it's one of my favorite songs. Not the parody is awesome, but the parody isn't one of my favorite songs. It's epic. I wrote it last night and today. Sorry, I need water. If I don't have water, I'm gonna like sound pitchy and die. I'm meaning this in the most sarcastic way possible. I want to make sure this goes across clearly. Whenever I'm joking about dying or anything else, that's just me joking and having a dark sense of humor, because sometimes it's important to, when you're dealing with hard things, to joke about them. Not that I don't want to minimize anybody's pain and suffering in this. That's not something I ever aim to do. I always want people to know that they are in a genuine place of safety. So if I'm making a casual joke about people dying, it's not because I don't care. It's because if I care too much, I can't process. So, oh, that sounds awful. That makes me sound like an awful human being. But I'm very sarcastic. And I come from a very sarcastic family in many instances. So we'll see how this goes. It would be complex. It would be cruel. They'd say quarantine would hold it off before it would hit you. And that would be okay. If it were true, every coronavirus would always just be like the flu. I'd be a whistleblower. I'd be a doctor too. When everyone believes ya. What's that like? I'm so sick of running as fast as I can. Wondering if I'd be around you if you had clean hands. And I'm so sick of them coming at me again. 'Cause if you'd have washed them, then you'd have clean hands. Yeah, yeah. You'd have clean hands. Yeah, yeah. You'd have clean hands. There's a second verse to this that I kind of wrote, but it got a bit fuzzy, so you're not going to hear it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. It's beyond appreciated. I'd love to hear what you guys are struggling with in this, because I'm not alone in this, and I know I'm not. And that gives reassurance, even though it's not fun. You don't ever want to see other people suffer. So I don't want to have other people understand what I'm feeling right now, because that means they're suffering and they're dealing with hard things. I want everybody to be in a safe, healthy environment, but life isn't perfect, and that's kind of what we have to deal with. So anyway, I'm gonna put some footage, and now you guys can see what the applause was like tonight in appreciation of healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, other people who are addressing everything that's happening with this coronavirus, and applauding and supporting the people who are fighting it. Remember, you're not alone in this. There are so many people who are in similar situations. Just reach out, and if you want to be reached out to, also do reaching out to other people. You're not alone. You're really not alone in this. Okay, have a great evening. Have a wonderful, wonderful time, and I'm praying that everyone is safe and in a healthy environment. So, stay smart, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully winning next happens.
I love how you have the lights going. It's so funny. This is funny. Supportive.
Ya. ¿Sigues grabando?
I'll stop it once things start to die down. This is such a cool place to be. People are... Apparently people don't like the king here.
It's because in the Basque country they want their independence, so they don't feel represented by the king.
Okay. This is hilarious. This is not how people would protest in the US. Let me just say that much.